What is going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as Icon to BTC. This will be, I think we have 2 more days to review Icon to BTC, and then we will be switching it up, reviewing another altcoin for that matter. And we'll talk about why I would like to switch up for Icon and the reasons behind it. Otherwise, we are going to be looking at the current coin market cap. We're going to be looking at this ripple effect that's currently taking place within the cryptocurrency sphere. But otherwise, if you can take your focus to my screen, make sure to, subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and let's jump right into today's video. So as you can see, we are on the current coin market cap, and I did refresh the page a couple seconds ago. You'll notice market cap is 320 before we were around 310, so there's a slight amount of volume coming back into the market. 24-hour volume has slowly dipped off from yesterday, and I meant money moving into the market. Bitcoin dominant 65.1, around, again, similar to where it was yesterday, around 64.8 or 0.9. When I scroll down to the top 10 cryptos, everything seems to be in green except for Bitcoin SV. Otherwise, markets are probably up, I'd say about 2%, maybe 1%. Litecoin's still in the number 4 spot at 1.69%. We have XRP, 2.28%, 34 cents. Bitcoin is up at 11,670, 0.33. Even the fact that we're still like almost $12,000 is still an incredible amount of money to be in one cryptocurrency. That's still wild. The fact that we were at 3,000 a couple months ago and now we're at 11. This is a lot to these media bashers who says that Bitcoin is a bubble and yada yada yada. But otherwise, markets are green. Everything looks up for the most part. Some coins are up double digits, but for the most part, this is what I'd call the ripple effect, and I'll explain what that means in a second. So moving on over to Litecoin, what do I mean by this ripple effect? So what I've noticed from almost 2 years now of making this channel and it hasn't been 2 years, maybe a year and a half. A year and a half. So having this channel and making videos for you guys every single day and looking at these charts, you get to figure out what patterns happen and what patterns don't happen. So that's kind of the perk to watching this channel is when you subscribe and you watch these videos, not only are you getting your knowledge and information of cryptocurrency, but you're kind of adding on a year and a half to 2 years worth of cryptocurrency knowledge to your game, to your portfolio, because when you look at these charts, I may pick up on things that you may not have seen only because you haven't been around in cryptocurrency for that long. So a great example of this is what I mean by the ripple effect. And I've said this before, but we've had a lot of new subscribers join. This is in regards to, let's say you bounce a basketball really hard. The first time you bounce it, it goes crazy high up, comes back down, it's a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and then it flatlines. So here's a prime example of what I'm referring to. So a lot of the times when we do see a pretty big spike to the downside, we tend to see movement back upwards at a very rapid level. So from the time that we're now, you'll notice that we did see a big dip. So this is a good example previously, and then we'll talk about what's happening currently. So when we tested this and fell at a very substantial level, you'll see we haven't had this volume in quite some time. Major volume to the upside as we retrace lower. It's an indication that there's most likely going to be a bounce off of some sort of support, bringing us to higher levels, and that is exactly what it did. So we immediately hit the bottom support level, and then we immediately retraced back up. This is what I like to call the ripple effect, and then eventually it starts to stagnate and trade sideways. A beautiful representation where it bounces right back up, falls lower again, moves up, and then it just gets smaller and smaller until there's practically no volume. You can see that same thing is kind of happening right now. Yes, we are below the supports on the ascending wedges, but there is still indication that we could still move up at a pretty significant rate. So you'll notice we don't have nearly as much volume as we did before, but we did fall with quite a bit of movement all the way down to the downside. And you'll see once we retested 94, which is the bottom of our high-low middle moving average, we retraced right back up. And I did say yesterday, and I quote, that we're really looking for the candle to close above our green band for it to be any sort of significance that we're going to start to head up to the upside. And that is exactly what it did. So we did, in that day, test the bottom, but we closed the candle above our green band on the high-low middle moving average. You'll also notice this sent us very close to being oversold, almost down into the bottom right here. And then we're starting to now retrace back to the upside. So you can see that we're starting to move back up. You can see this green candle right here, and we're starting to climb back to the upside. We have tons of volume left to move up. We're very low in the RSI, giving us a huge indication that we're going to see movements to higher levels, which is great. And then we could potentially see, a reversal back into this ascending wedge as we slowly trade back to the upside. Now, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware, I forgot to change my shirt, and I do have a shirt on with green. That is why we're seeing this invisible, so my apologies. I'll try to fix that. But as we continue this charting, you can see that we're most definitely, I'm still holding on to the fact that we could potentially see movement back up into this upside right here. I'm really looking for movement such as this, where we either start to trade out like this and trade up on here and close this and get right back into here. This is really what I'm looking for, movement into here where we start to trade in this channel. Otherwise, we could see a pretty big break. Sorry, wrong thing. We could see a pretty big break back into here, and then we could get much farther back to 140 and then trade in between our ascending triangle, and then ultimately leading to a breakout. So we do have a couple things to continue off of this. I truly do think that Litecoin is inevitably going to be heading up off of this. It has a nice bounce effect. We should be trading back upwards. So I don't think there's much doubt in my mind that we could potentially see more movement and more volume bringing us to higher levels. I think 140 is the cap, though, in terms of where we may see Litecoin head as we near the halving, which we know is coming up right around the corner. Now, let's move on to Bitcoin. You can see that Bitcoin is really the deciding factor here. It really helped figure out where the rest of the market is going. You'll notice that Bitcoin has a beautiful ascending triangle on its price analysis as well, on its charting, and you'll notice this did help us pretty much indicate where the rest of the market was going to go. Now let me get this off. Okay, let me get all these off. Okay. They definitely added more ads since I've been on here. But you'll now see that with this ascending triangle we've had, we did actually retrace below here. But once again, we closed the candle pretty much above the ascending triangle, and now we're starting to trade up higher. We did inevitably lower ourselves on the RSI. Still like it's a little too high for comfort, but we're still a little bit higher than we need to be. You can see we're at around 54, which is still healthier than where we were, but it's still a little high. But otherwise, the fact that we did close this candle above our ascending triangle does indicate to me that we could see movement like this back into here, which would be absolutely great. So that's truly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that movement back into here, and then we could see movement to the upside. We could see this break in this ascending triangle to the upside. That would be amazing, but there is still some doubt in my mind that usually ascending triangles break bearish, so I'm really looking for a play like this. So do keep your eyes out. I do think, though, in the short term, 11.4 back up to 12.7 is definitely going to happen, so just keep your eye out on that. Now, lastly, I want to look at Ethereum out of the blue chip cryptocurrencies. Then we'll wrap things up with Icon. So very interesting is with Ethereum, we did have a small break in its ascending triangle, which I was shocked about. I guess Bitcoin's ascending triangle was much lower than this. See, this is a possibility you can see here because of the fact that we are still trending on its ascending triangle. This does still hold true versus this. You notice how easily this did break through, which does give me some sort of reason to believe that this could be extended out ever so slightly. So I kind of want to just leave this here because Bitcoin and Ethereum are so close, and you can see how we've had the same problems arise. We have this ascending triangle. So I want to leave this here and see where this goes. What I could do too, just to double back on my lines, is right here all the way up. I'm going to leave this like this, and we're going to see how this now decides to react with the market. Are we going to trade in between here using this as a resistance, or are we just going to negate it and go right through it? Are we going to break right through this bottom support? This will pretty much give us the deciding factor as to whether or not the coin is following these graphs at all. It looks like it, so I'm going to leave this ascending triangle, this opening, gap as we continue upwards. Now, to end today's episode, we're looking at Icon, which once again is very dormant. This coin is very dormant, and in regards to what we've been seeing, it's just going to pretty much trade out sideways, and we could see the same pattern happen, which is obviously this. Boom, boom. Sorry. This is pretty much hitting that, falling, hitting that, and then falling again. We're looking for confirmation that this is a resistance, which looks like it's going to trade out sideways, hit this, and then fall lower, which is up to you in case you want to short, but I do think it's headed down. We're out of the overbought market, and even when we didn't really head up by much. It looks like a very dormant coin. The fact that we don't have previous lows to indicate how low we're going is a great indication that it's setting all-time lows, and that's a hard coin to kind of put your money into. But otherwise, guys, that's going to sum up today's episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave it